Hey, welcome back to another episode of Venture Prince. Now, I will say right off the bat that I was a little lazy this time. Usually, when I do these episodes, I will admit I record them um, in the same day. I do the same one. They record them both in the same day for the week, but I usually to help with the illusion that they're different, put on a different shirt and hat. But I am on my way to go see my niece play some soccer today, and I did not feel like changing. Plus, it still is the day I'm recording this is still the Daytona 500, and the Paris Olympics or the Olympics are still happening. Not the Paris ones, but the ones in Milan. And so I'm apologize that it looks that I'm wearing the same outfit for 2 episodes because I usually try to pretend that I recorded them differently. Although now you know that I didn't because I just said that. This is Venture Prince, a YouTube series where me, Eric Fady, I go through some of the photos I've taken throughout the years, some ones I think are cooler, the better ones of the ones I've taken. I try to share the better ones here, I have this. I had this idea that this year I wanted to post a video twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays for all of 2026, where I went through some of those photos and gave some details, dove into them a little bit, uh, just as a kind of a challenge to myself. And they all correspond with an Instagram post that I make the same day of the episodes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm trying to get my Instagram built up a little bit and thought, well, why not if I'm going to do that, add a little bit of this, a little bit of something extra to it where I give some insight into the photos and a little background. That was not my favorite intro that I've ever done. It started out good, but I rambled a little bit in the middle, but I'm going to keep it going because I'm a semi-professional. All right. So, welcome. Thank you guys for joining me on another episode of Venture Prince. Let's get to it. This photo this time is coming from from back from my comedy trip of 2022. Um, and it was taken on February 28th at 6:14 p.m. This is really close and similar to a one I shared earlier from Charleston, South Carolina, but this is of on Lodge Alley between State and East Bay Street in Charleston, South Carolina. Now, if you look, the church steeple there, which is not the centerpiece necessarily, but there is a church steeple that's between the two little buildings in the not little, but between the buildings in the alleyway. That church is in the image is actually St. Philips Church, which was built in 1836 and is home of the oldest church congregation in South Carolina. Now, we had just gotten to Charleston, and I probably talked about it a little bit of this in the last photo because I did share one kind of similar to this in a previous episode. But we'd just gotten to Charleston, and we were lucky enough to be staying in a very beautiful part of Charleston, South Carolina, right downtown in the old town where it was just like, thank God, I've been very blessed in life to have some people that are so kind, and I had a family friend. Oh, I didn't do the screenshot, but I had a family friend who hooked us up with a timeshare right downtown, and it was awesome because we could just walk down to little cafes and around town and go on walking tours, and so I got to take photos like this. So here we are. There's Charleston, if everyone's not familiar necessarily. There's, for context, there's Myrtle Beach a little bit up there to the north, and we'll zoom in here and back into and if you can see, I definitely took a lot of photos in the area. I always point out the purple photos. And for context, I mentioned this on the last one, but over here on the left across the river by the 17 highway there, 61 and 17, there's like a little photo there, which was taken by our hotel that we stayed at before we stayed 5 nights down in Charleston. And yeah, we were very lucky and very blessed to have a friend hook us up with such a nice place. So you see, I definitely took a lot of photos around the town. We were there for about 5 days. You know what's crazy? I'm not sure if I'm gonna share those photos, so I'll s on the episode yet or not, because I don't think they're super unique, but there is a mark out here, a little blue mark out here in the water if you look, and that is because I have a friend that lives in Charleston, South Carolina, and believe it or not, he has his own plane. So he took my buddies and I out on a plane trip, and we got to fly around the bay here and take some pictures of Fort Sumter, which is where the American Civil War started. Uh, and so that was pretty cool. So as you can see, we're zooming in here, zooming in. And if you look, there's a St. Philips church, and the photo here is from this alley, and that St. Philips church is captured into the like there's where the photo was taken on Lodge Alley between State and East Bay Street, and then there is the church that happens to be in the background of the photo. So that was pretty cool. And I like I've already said this in a few of these episodes, but I have things I like in photography for sure. Like I like low angles. I like holding it down here and having the bricks kind of in focus, and then these 2 buildings just coming up, and then the sky. It was a beautiful sunset that night, and it's really cool that you get this church steeple right here. I'm not particularly super religious, but I do find old churches very cool. I just like old buildings and old things, and so churches often are very old, especially in places like this. So, yeah, that's super cool. This was taken only a few minutes before or after the photo I've shared on a previous episode of our first day in Charleston. But yeah, there was some background to that. I remember I was walking around with my buddy Tyler, and we were just amazed. We're like, "Oh my god, we get to be in this cool freaking city," and we got lucky. We were there for 5 days. So yeah, that's this photo. That's where it was taken. I don't have much more about it other than that, as far as it goes, but it was taken on a taken on I didn't get the day for some reason. I don't know why I didn't write the exact day, but February 28th, 6:14 PM. So there you go. That will do it for this episode of Venture Prince. As I always mention, and I do why did I hate that I said do a podcast a podcast called Venture Cast. It talks about my trip around the country here doing comedy, staying in Charleston, staying in Texas, Florida, every state in the country. I can name them all. And that is all free on Spotify and iTunes under eVentureCast. There's also my Instagram is eVentureCast, and all these photos are posted on there. They're all also they are as well for purchase. If anyone's interested in supporting me, but beyond buying a photo, I do have a Patreon page called eVenture under Patreon eVentureCast, and basically it has videos over almost 360 audio video clips of what it's like to drive around doing comedy throughout the country in a minivan with friends and working on a tourist island called Mackinac Island in northern Michigan, where have worked the last 3 summers, and I've worked with horses. So there's tons of videos of me feeding horses and petting horses and what it's like to live on an island without cars, just bikes, horses, and walk-ins. So that's all out there on my Patreon page. I've got to be honest, this is not my favorite intro and not my favorite outro of the episodes I've done. It's one of those things that just is what it is. I felt like it's weird because I actually felt very good about what will be the Tuesday episode this week. But this being the Thursday episode, I started off strong with an intro and then kind of babbled. I got okay in the middle with the episode, and the outro, it was a little bit of a shit show, but that's what it is. I'm gonna keep it. I'm not gonna I sometimes I have been known to restart these episodes, but it has to be the very beginning. I just kinda mess up the intro, and I'll restart it. I can't restart it this far. We've gone too far. So thank you guys for checking us out on, YouTube, Venture Prince. Super appreciate it. Hope people are enjoying it. As always, please feel free to leave, photos in the comments of that you've taken that you think are cool. I'd love to see, other people's photography as well. And then that's it. We'll be back next Tuesday and Thursday for new episodes of Venture Prince. All right. See you.